So what's up, Knicks Nation? Welcome to the Blue and Orange Brunch Show. Got a lot of good topics to talk about today. Karl-Anthony Towns, he's back with a vengeance. 5 straight 20-point games. Is this going to continue? Will this last? Do you think that Big Bodega Cat is back to his regular season form from last season? Of course, we got a big game tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the hottest teams in the league before they were stomped out by OKC's secondary players. We'll touch on tonight to see whether or not the Knicks will get it done. JALEN Brunson was quoted recently for saying that he wants to be a Knick for the rest of his career. Will this be the case? Because some think that he may not be worth the Supermax. Of course, there's been some contention, or there's been some debate amongst Knicks fans on Rick Brunson and his role on the coaching staff. We could talk about that and a couple of other things on this morning's episode, the Blue and Orange Brunch Show. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Karan Pierre, the Objective Fan, and I'm straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest. And you know the vibes, man. Tell a friend that we live, man. Welcome to the Blue and Orange Brunch. I see everybody in the building. Big time salute to Dust 77, Darlene Bryant, of course, Maxine, the super producer. Big time salute. Big time salute to Killer B. Welcome to the show. You guys know what you need to do as you enter the show. We got to smash the like button. It's very important to the algorithm. It's something that you do. We got to let YouTube know that this is the place to be. All right. Also, while you're at it, you might as well subscribe, because we know that at least 58.8% of you guys are not subscribed. So help us close the gap so that YouTube knows where it's at. We also are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Our next milestone is 5K. So as soon as we reach that mark, one of our lucky subscribers will win this JALEN Brunson rookie trading card. All you got to do is subscribe. No emails, no phone numbers, none of that stuff. That's all you have to do to help support the channel. We do appreciate you guys in the building. So this is a very special Blue and Orange Brunch Show. We have a very special guest in the building. His name is Errol Marks, and he comes from the Jabba and the Mouth Show. So we're going to talk to him, and let me introduce this brother. What's going on, Errol, in the building?
What's going on,
Big time salute.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk some Knicks for all the fans out there. Yes. We all know the Knicks and the blue and orange and everything about the Knicks. And really, personally, the Knicks is really close to my heart. Every Knicks fan, we want to see a championship, and maybe this is the year.
100%. So let people know what you got going on with the Jabba and the Mouth Show, all the good things you do. You guys are some very hardcore sports fans. So talk to us about what it is you do.
Well, obviously, we're content creators, and we started this. Well, I started this platform almost, I would say, 13 years ago with the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We were one of the first digital platforms in the country, and slowly but surely we've grown, and we've had plenty of shows on our network. And now we've really been sticking to this one show. I've been working hand in hand with Jabba Chamberlain from the New York Yankees, former New York Yankees, Cleveland Guardian, Kansas City Royal, guy, two-time World Series champion, and we built a great product. And right now yesterday we were in the top 50, almost in the top 50 in the whole country on Spotify and Apple. We were ranked 56. Today we're ranked 68th in the country out of almost 19,000 shows. We're under football, and anybody that knows anything about genres and Spotify and Apple, you have to be under a genre. But we talk basketball, we talk baseball, we speak UFC, mixed martial arts. We speak about everything, and football, obviously, Jets, Giants, and throughout the NFL. So we go in the ins and the outs. We tell you the truth. We don't hide behind the mic. We tell you what's up. And one of the things that we pretty much are straightforward to is we don't look at stats. We have a statistician. We have somebody that is really marked for analytics and stats. But what we do is we talk what we see, and what we speak about is what we know. And that's the thing that a lot of people take shots at us. And if you haven't checked it out, you can go to the worldwide www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can check us out. We have a great product, great stories. We're almost at right now. We're almost at 200,000 views on our website this month. We're really rocking it right now, and I'm just happy to be here. I love your product. I love what you're doing right now, talking Knicks, and why not?
Yes.
One of the things closest to my
Thank you.
heart out of all the sports that I've been following since I was a little boy, I've been a diehard Knicks fan, and I've been playing hockey since I was a kid. I was a top prospect growing up, and everybody says, well, "What is your favorite sport? What is close to your heart?" The New York Knicks, the blue and orange. It's always been a part of my life, and whenever I talk about the Knicks, it's all about winning championships, which we haven't done since 1973. Me and you, Karan, we're not alive to see it.
No.
And members DeBusschere and Willis Reed and Walt Clyde Frazier and even Phil Jackson, all these great players that played for those New York Knicks teams, and even the 90s Knicks with Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing and John Starks. And I know all of them. I've interviewed all of them. I know them personally, and it's been a great ride, and hopefully this is a ride that will end with a championship this year in 2027. Well, 26 actually.
26.
I'm
That's
ahead
not
of
good.
myself.
That's
I'm
not
ahead of
pushing.
myself today.
Nah, great stuff. And yeah, I love what you guys do over there. So this was the perfect collaboration. So what we could do, we could jump into the first topic. I already got it up on the screen here. So Rick Brunson is somebody who, is kind of polar. Some people think that he can be a hindrance to the locker room, aka my dad. And so Mike Brown recently credited Rick Brunson for Alvarado for heart substitution in the recent game that helped the Knicks get a victory. He also was very pivotal in the Josh Hart starting, him going to that, because sometimes coaches, they like to come in with their own imprint. I'm not going to do what the last coach did. I'm going to do my thing. So I got an article here. It says the Knicks are about 2/3 of the way through the Browns' first season. This certainly isn't the first incident of the coach crediting one of his assistants for the game-saving change. All right. Darren Erman restoring some of Tom Thibodeau's defensive principles, right? And the defense has been incredible, right? Brown has left some of New York's key starters watching from the sidelines in crunch time, right? We see a lot of the adjustments and changes. And Rick Brunson, the assistant coach that Brown credited early in the season with the idea of going back to the start lineup, that played the vast majority of minutes for the team last season. So what do you think about Rick? I'm curious to know because, my dad, he goes at the guy really hard. What are your thoughts on Rick Brunson? Do you think that from what we see, of course, we're not in the locker room seeing what's going on behind the scenes, but when you see on the bench, do you see any body language issues, or do you think that he's too assertive? Because he does sit next to Mike Brown, and he's not supposed to be the lead assistant. So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not a Rick Brunson fan either. I love your father for coming out and saying that and speaking what he feels. I mean, honestly, we all understand what Rick Brunson is. His son is the biggest superstar right now in New York. He's the captain. He's the face of the New York Knicks. So obviously he speaks very highly of himself. He was a part of the 99 New York Knicks team when they went all the way to the NBA Finals and choked against the San Antonio Spurs. So we understand who he is. His heart comes from New York. Obviously, Jalen Brunson always wanted to play here. He played for Villanova. He's got Josh Hart there. And don't be surprised if Dante DiVincenzo will be back with the Knicks next year, even though he doesn't have a very high respect for Rick Brunson, as we all know what happened in the preseason with the Timberwolves. So I understand what your father is saying. Here's the thing about Rick Brunson. You want to make sure that your captain, your face of your organization is happy. And his father right now is a part of the bench, and he speaks highly of Mike Brown, and a lot of fans didn't want him there. After Tom Thibodeau got fired, one of the big
Right.
stories was a lot of the players did not want Rick Brunson on the bench. A lot of them didn't. I don't know who or what was said to
Right.
Leon.
We don't know the exact players, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
but a lot of people didn't like Rick Brunson there. I know Dante DiVincenzo really wasn't too fond of Rick Brunson on the bench. So I think that obviously there's a lot of people and a lot of fans that say, why is he speaking to Mike Brown? Why is he in his head? And
Hmm.
obviously the defense is really been some high praise for guys like Charles Barkley, who can't stand the New York Knicks, and even Shaquille O'Neal, that took shots at Karl-Anthony Towns recently, saying that he's not a dog.
Yeah.
But we
Right.
understand that Rick Brunson brings a different trifecta to the New York Knicks. And that is, if Brunson is happy and he is playing at the top of his game, the Knicks are going to have a chance to win every single year. Also,
Right.
when a lot of people said that Jose Alvarado coming to New York Knicks, he was not very comfortable. Not the fact that he's not happy to be here with the Knicks. He was asking Jalen Brunson, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?" before he
Right.
actually played on the court. And
Hmm.
after he spoke to that, I don't know if anybody knows this. Jalen Brunson's father, Rick Brunson, pulled him to the side, sat with him, and conversated with him and said, "Listen, just play your game, be yourself. That's all we're asking you to do. That's what's going to make the fans happy. That's what's going to bring the fans in and really celebrate with you the type of player that you are and what you're going to bring to this team and this franchise." So I like that Rick Brunson is speaking to some of the players and getting comfortable with them. I just don't want him to overspeak his
Right.
boundaries to Mike Brown. Mike Brown, to me, I loved it. I loved the hire. I was one of the people that reached out and wrote a story before Tom Thibodeau got hired. I wrote a story a year before, and I said, whoever the Knicks bring in as their next GM, they have to hire Tom Thibodeau. And a lot of people took shots at the Knicks after going to the finals last year and then giving up on Tom Thibodeau, not going and riding with Tom Thibodeau, maybe because Tom Thibodeau never took a team to the finals. So, and we've
Right.
seen how far he's taking teams, including the Chicago Bulls with one of the best point guards of all time in Rose. So we understand what he stands and how he performed as a coach. Mike Brown has been a part of teams like Greg Popovich, and he's been a part of those Spurs teams. He's been a part of the Golden State Warrior teams with Steve Kerr. He
Right.
understands how to coach. He understands that manipulative type of defense and fast-paced game of the triangle offense. I don't know if anybody knows this, but even though they play a certain style of isolation basketball, some of their understanding of spreading out their offense is the triangle offense. If you watch the New York Knicks, he uses that
Right.
kind of style. And the one thing I can say about even somebody like Jose Alvarado, he brings a dynamic defense to the New York Knicks that they didn't have against Burton and the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern
Right.
Conference Finals last year. So I think a guy like Rick Brunson can bring these guys together as long as he doesn't overrate his boundaries and put himself in a
Right.
position where he's taking the voice out of the coach's mouth. And I want Mike
Right.
Brown to take over this team. I want Mike Brown to be the face of this organization. I want Mike Brown to push these guys to the limits that they couldn't push with Tom Thibodeau.
Right. Yeah. Everything you're saying, a lot of people has uttered the same thing. My dad, I don't know. He's just man. He really went hard. I got a clip I'm dropping today actually with my dad kind of ripping into Rick Brunson from the 24-hour live stream that we did. By the way, the live stream clips will continue from the 24-hour show, and I just feel like this would be a great topic to add. There was a article or a quote from Jalen Brunson recently that he loves his dad. His dad is the best thing to have around. His dad holds him accountable. His dad, he does a great job balancing dad and coach. And yes, I remember reading the reports from last season that some players were fond of Rick Brunson. We don't know who these players are, but I don't know how much of that is actually accurate because these guys are, to me, selfless guys. I think we have a selfless issue on this team, right? Now, OG wanted his money. He got his money, right? Mikal Bridges, he got his money, right? But Mikal, he doesn't care about shots half the time, right? Towns, we already seen you caught a board of what Shaq said about Towns, and we're gonna talk about Towns more in a second. But Towns is someone who also is kind of like, I go with the flow. I feel like a lot of these guys are just kind of like, they're not dogs to me from a standpoint of I want to be the best on the floor. It's like they're all kind of, I just want to be a part of the team dynamic. So as long as Rick Brunson isn't doing things to go against the team dynamic, I don't think that he's going to be problematic. I think that a lot of the trouble we seen with the body language came from the losing. You know, when they went 2-9, that was a very hard stretch, you know, and then literally, I think it was the Brooklyn Nets right after when we came back. When we won that game, these guys were smiling and laughing on the bench like nothing ever happened. So I just think that a lot of the frustration comes with losing. And sometimes we read more into the losing part and the frustration with that and make it seem like there's some underlying issues. So like that, you know, that was my slight pushback to my dad, though there could be problems there. But also with the Dante DiVincenzo scenario, two things I gotta say, because you said you're gonna get him back. We're definitely not getting Dante back. I'm sorry, guys, it's not happening. Next year we have, okay, depending on how this year plays out, we're dealing with second apron politics and a possible Giannis Antetokounmpo trade.
Mhm.
That's going to trump anything else, and the South able to even swing a deal for Dante. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Not sure what's going on with my scenes here. Hold on. Let me get my brother back on the line. Hold on. Let me close this out. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, but with Dante, but also with Dante and Rick Brunson, to stay on topic with that. Rick Brunson, he and Dante made up. You know, they had Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not saying what he said about you running the show is a problem isn't the case either. Then maybe that is true, but I know that they rectified that scenario, and you know, it's kind of water on the bridge. Dante was hurt that he got moved. Like he really loved being in New York. He wanted to be in New York. I know the Knicks offered him the most money as well, but I do think that if another team could offer the same amount of money, I think he would have probably chose New York. And Minnesota was the second option. So, you know, Leon tried to do right there by sending him to a place that he actually considered going to versus trading him to Portland or something crazy like that. But nonetheless, I think that Rick, as long as it works for Captain, I think that it has to work for everyone else. And I don't know what the dynamic is, but maybe Rick is doing more good. I mean, Mike Brown praised him, you know, a couple of times for certain suggestions that he made. And we know last year, Coach Tibbs, you know, there was some report, or some people say, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but some people said that Rick Brunson and Tibbs kind of went head to head on certain things. Somebody told me a story about Precious Achua in the playoffs, about how Rick was telling him to play Precious and Tibbs was like, no, you know, and then eventually he put Precious in the game and then Precious balled out. But I don't know. I just feel like Rick for some reason, he gets the short end of the stick. I don't know. But listen, guys, if you just joined the show, I got my man Errol here from Job in the Mouth. I definitely need us to continue to get the likes up. Hold on. Let's get the likes up. We got to continue getting the likes up. We have a 100 minimum like policy on this show. So as you enter the show, smash the like button. All right. And if you're digging the content, man, definitely you could always send in a donation, a super chat, if you want me and Errol to go over your message. And we do appreciate all the support. Let me see all the people in the building. Okay, I see you. Maxine, the super producer in the house. J-Tap Mob. Big time salute to the Knicks Tape Madness Discord server. We are in the building pretty heavy. And let's go, guys. Let's get these likes up. Because Maxine, you know she's going to get on me if I don't stress the likes. All right, so that's the Rick Brunson arc. Anything else you want to add to that, or you want to move forward?
I will say
we got some stuff to talk about.
I will say this. I know a lot of Knick fans are questioning what Leon Rose did bringing him back. And I think Leon Rose, I'm not going to question anything Leon Rose has done because everything he's touched has turned to gold. He made that trade for RJ Barrett and Quickly. A lot of people didn't like it. Who the hell is OG? And look what OG has brought. It gives you that defying defense. Now, he's not on every single game. We all know that. He plays hard one game, and sometimes he lays back and he doesn't play his game. But OG Anunoby is one of the best defensive perimeter players in the league. And then a lot of people took shots at, in the offseason trading 5 draft picks for Mikal Bridges. And Mikal Bridges, you saw what he can do against the good teams, especially in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics. He has that ability to defend guys like Jalen Brown or even Tatum. He has that dynamic way of playing that perimeter defense that gives you that thought that you have 2 good defenders that can play multiple positions. And then he brings in Jose Alvarado, who is a great defender. He can shoot the 3, and he's dynamic too. He plays a high-paced game. That's what Mike Brown likes to play. So I understand a lot of people would question other people. And Worldwide West, he's been behind everything Leon Rose has done and everything that he has built on this team and this organization. He doesn't speak much, and that's a lot of the arguments to a lot of Knicks fans. He doesn't go out there. He doesn't talk to the media. He doesn't want to talk to the fans until the end of the season, all this stuff. Right. But what he brings is an understanding on how to build a team, a sustainable team. Now, the question is, can this team take it to the next level? Could they go to the finals and beat the powerhouse West teams like Oklahoma or the Nuggets or maybe the future Dallas Mavericks, because it seems like they're losing all the time because they want Cam Boozer or one of these guys. So we all understand. We understand what they want to do. And how about Indiana? Indiana is trying to lose out the season because they know they have Halliburton coming back, and they want to get one of those big name guys. So in the top 3 that everybody keeps talking about, we'll see how it all falls together. Peterson, Boozer, or DeBiza. So we look at this and we understand what they're trying to do. So the Knicks have to understand something. If this team is not going to be a winning organization moving forward, they don't get past the Eastern Conference because it's full riding. And by the way, Charles Barkley, okay? And by the way, Stephen A. Smith, 2 guys that came out after Detroit, smashed the Knicks, and they're 3-0 against the New York Knicks this year. Who beat the Detroit Pistons last year in the first round? That was the New York Knicks. This is the same Detroit Piston team that is going into the season. Yeah, we understand Cade Cunningham's great. He's going to be up for an MVP. That's great. And he always has his voice of reason against the New York Knicks, and he plays his best games against the Knicks. So did LeBron James. So did Michael Jordan. So did Kobe Bryant. So we all understand that. Here's the thing. This team is built to win now. If they don't win now, yes, Giannis is going to be on the Knicks, I guess you could say
100%.
Their mark, their target in the offseason. And you say they won't go after Dante DiVincenzo. Here's the thing. Even if they bring in Giannis and they trade pieces off, like maybe an OG, because that was the guy that they wanted. That was what Milwaukee wanted in the offseason in the summertime, and the Knicks were not willing to give OG Anunoby up. So maybe if they fail to win and go to the finals this year, maybe OG will definitely be one of those pieces that the Knicks might want to move. But here's the thing. I think that where this team is, they could bring a Dante DiVincenzo back because McBride is a guy that can't stay healthy, and McBride does not show up in a lot of those series in the playoffs. Last year, he showed up in the Detroit series, didn't show up in the Celtics series, he didn't show up in the Indiana series. He needs the consistent basketball. Dante DiVincenzo gives hard-nosed basketball. He's mean. He goes out there. He wants to fight everybody, and that's the New York Knicks. When we remember the 90s Knicks, the Oakleys, the Anthony Masons, those were the hard-edged New York Knicks that we learned to love. That's what Pat Riley brought to the table with the New York Knicks when he came here from L.A. So that's what I want to see. I want to see that hard-nosed Knick team that they're going to stick up for their players. And by the way, that's why we're going to get into the Karl-Anthony Towns thing. Am I hating what Shaquille O'Neal said? No. I want to see Karl-Anthony Towns come out and be a dog. If he's not going to be a dog, then he's not going to be here.
Yeah. Right. Now, the only thing with Dante is I'm just saying the apron politics, because right now, so the Knicks have multiple, it's like kind of like one of those Marvel Infinity Universe worlds where you could go this way, that way, that way. So if you go the Giannis route, you're going to have less money, less flexibility to make moves because you're going to be hard capped at the second apron. You're not going to be able to enter it. You're already $20 million away from there now, and that's without Mitchell Robinson. You're only going to have 8 players on the contract next season, or maybe 8 players on the contract next season, and you're going to be anywhere between 18 to 16 million dollars within that space. So it's more of a spacing issue. It's not a desire. I'm pretty sure they would love to have Dante back, but just based on the apron politics and Giannis trade. Now, if the Giannis trade doesn't happen, that then maybe it could happen because you could go get Dante. No. All right. So if you go and get Dante via trade, more than likely, depending on the package, if you're not doing a 1-for-1, and honestly, I don't think you have the ability to do for a 1-for-1 because Dante makes around 12 to 14 million. You don't have another player in that range. So the minute you do that 2-for-1 to go get Dante, then now you automatically hard cap yourself at that second apron, and you won't be able to sign Mitchell Robinson. So you're going to have to make some hardcore choices there if you were to make that move happen. So that's the only reason why. It's not that I don't want Dante back. I like Dante. I love what he done. And if we could get him back, I would gladly welcome him back. But shifting gears, since we talked about, we kind of highlighted the guy Towns.
Yes.
But, in the last 5 games, he's been scoring 20 plus. Last 2 games, 25 plus per game. Looking like his old self. Now we know that, his coaches, Ehrman, try to reinstate some of Tibbs' defensive principles. I'm telling you one thing I noticed, the offense has slowed down. And I think that's the reason why Towns has been able to get in his groove. They slowed it down for him a little bit so now he could get going. They're throwing it to him in the paint, in the post. My question, though, do you think that this will last, Earl? How long will Towns give us this production? Or is it just a flash in the pan and then he's going to get back to just standing on the side, on the elbow, or just waiting to get his turn? What do you think about that?
I think he had the big basket against the Rockets and helped the Knicks win that game. The Rockets are a good team, and they're one of the favorites to coming out of the West. So the Knicks can compete against some of the top teams. For some reason, he doesn't play well against the teams like the Pistons. And you're going to have to go through the Pistons to get to the finals. I don't care what you do against the Western Conference, because you're not going to play any of the Western Conference teams if you can't get through Detroit or you can't get through the Celtics. So, and we all know that the Celtics have been a thorn in the New York Knicks' ass since, Jalen Brown's come out and said that the Knicks are not anything. And remember, when the Knicks beat Jalen Brown and the Celtics recently, Jalen Brown had a team, meeting, pretty much was shocked that the Knicks beat him. Why are you shocked that the Knicks are a better team? They're the team that ran through you in the semifinals last year. So we all understand what the Knicks are. When they play at a top level, Karl-Anthony Towns is a big part of this team and the level that they play at. Karl-Anthony Towns needs to be a dog. He needs to play hard. He needs to go out there and he needs to rebound. This guy is one of the best rebounders in the league. He is the best big man when it comes to shooting the three. The guy can do so many things, and he's multi-savvy in many different ways. He's not a good defender, which that's why we have Mitchell Robinson. But again, with the Knicks, you need to get these guys to play somewhat defense. This guy needs to control and protect the rim, which he doesn't do against some of these elite defensive teams or offensive teams. And again, I love Karl-Anthony Towns. I loved him when he brought him in. I wanted the Knicks to draft him the year that he was drafted. I remember that draft like it was yesterday. The Knicks got Porzingis at 4. Yeah. Was it a bad sign, a bad draft pick? No. But what did the Knicks get for Porzingis? Nothing. They got 2 second-round draft picks for Porzingis because this protected, when it comes to the NBA, which I don't understand. The NBA has to fix that. We can get into that another day because the protected, unprotected thing with the NBA makes absolutely no sense. If you're trading a pick, you trade the pick if you're getting a good player for him.
Exactly.
But I agree. I think Karl-Anthony Towns needs to play at a top level. Can he consistently do that? Only Shaquille O'Neal has come out and really attacked him on the television, on ESPN, saying, like, listen, you got to be a dog. You got to go out there and play, and you play like you're a nice guy on the basketball court. And Charles Barkley says, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Nice guys finish last. That's the facts. Shaquille O'Neal wasn't a nice guy.
That's a fact.
Charles Barkley wasn't a nice guy on the basketball court. Michael Jordan wasn't a nice guy on a basketball court. But here are the nice guys. Here are the nice guys that played for the New York Knicks. John Starks, nice guy, never won.
Nice guy,
Patrick Ewing,
never won.
Patrick Ewing, nice guy, never won.
Never won.
Yep. And then we look at the Carmelo Anthony, not a nice guy. okay, in his own way, but he plays
Right.
his flashes of being a nice guy. Remember when
Exactly.
Kevin Garnett said whatever he said on the court, which
Hmm.
Carmelo Anthony
We
said,
still don't know.
yeah, nobody knows. But he says some people said he likes like Honey Nut Cheerios or tastes
Right.
Honey Nut
He
Cheerios.
denied that though. He did deny that, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what he said, but
It
Carmelo
probably
Anthony,
was that, but he don't want to repeat it.
of course, he said something
Hmm.
that pissed him off because
Yeah.
there's no way you're going to go back and forth and wait for him at his bus stop or his bus
Exactly.
if he didn't say
Yep.
something other than the basketball game. Because you know Carmelo Anthony, he doesn't care what you say about his game because
Right.
he
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
out there and gets his. He always does. I
Right.
get mine, as Carmelo Anthony said. I get mine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yep. Hundred
the New
percent.
York Knicks need to get this guy playing at a top level. They need to push this guy. And Jalen Brunson, he's the leader. He's the captain, right? He's the one who called the team meetings. He needs to get into this guy's head and say, listen, if you're not a dog, we're not going to be able to win with you. So we're going to win without you. So, and here's that goes to OG Anunoby too. There are games that he's a dog. He can defend. He gets up on your face. He plays
Yeah.
mean. He goes up for those dunks and he goes up hard with those dunks.
Hmm.
And then there are games that he lets these guys push him around, guys that shouldn't be pushing him around because
Right.
he's a Kawhi Leonard type of defender, a guy that can get up on you and defend you very high and tough. Where you're going to have to, if you're going to go up for a layup, you're going to feel it. And if you're going to go up for a three, you're going to see him right up in your face, making sure that his hand's in your face every single time. These
Fact.
guys need to be dogs because if they're not, no matter how good Jalen Brunson is, scoring 45, 50 points in a
Right.
game, they're not going to win. That's it.
Right.
Detroit.
100%.
Look at Detroit. Kate Cunningham has these great games. He's scoring 30, 40 points. But guess what? He's got the other guys playing defense the whole game.
Yeah.
They're defending. They're making sure you feel them. They beat the Knicks up every time they play them. They beat them up. Somebody needs to step up to them and push them around and tell them, listen, you're not
Right.
pushing us around on our floor. We're going to push you around, and you're going to feel what the Madison Square Garden fans are going to do if you try to push us around. So it's
Right.
just we need that, and I think the charismatic person that we brought to this team at the trade deadline is Jose Alvarado. I think he gives
Yes.
you that enthusiasm to know what the Knicks are trying to bring to the picture. A mean but fun, energetic guy that's going to get up in your face. He's going to put the hands in your abdomen. He's going to make sure that you know that he's there, and it's not going to be an easy layup. It's not going to be an easy
Right.
shot, and they're going to beat you up if you do go up for an easy shot. So that's what I
Yep.
want to see. And Mike, this is the thing about Karl-Anthony Towns. And you know this, Karan. If Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't play hard every day, stop with the 80-foot three-point shots. I don't want to see that. He's not Steph
Right.
Curry. He's not. I'm sorry. There's only one Steph Curry. We need to see him go out there, make those 17, 18-foot jumpers, get the rhythm, understand what you are as a player, and dominate the boards. Rebounds, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. Because if you look, you know this, Karan. If the Knicks are dominating on the offensive rebounds, the Knicks are winning 82% of the time. Go look at the statistics. If they're winning on offensive rebounds, they're
Mhm.
winning 82% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly a concern because in the last 10 games, our offensive rebounds are down. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we get to the Cavs game. But I agree. I think that Towns, I would love for him to be the dog. And this is my one knock on Towns is that he's just not. Like every opportunity, he's given the chance to show it. Like, for example, just questions. Monica McNutt asked him something in the regards to winning a championship, right? And so he responds about charity work. I'm like, what the hell are we talking about basketball? Not charity. I'm not trying to knock charity work. Big time salute to everybody who do charity, But I'm not trying to knock that. What we're saying is you have been the best player in your class coming up from high school all the way up, right? Number one pick. But he doesn't have the traits from a ego perspective of a number one guy. He has the number one guy's talent, but the number two guy or three guys mentality. And that's what Shaq was trying to tell him. And he just couldn't really see. And I don't always agree with Shaq, but I was feeling Shaq on this because Shaq know what it takes to be great and to win a championship. And to even add to the conversation, like with Brunson, I love Brunson. And this is why I kept pushing every day, Earl, for Giannis. I'm not going to lie. I'm that guy. I want Giannis bad for one reason. Well, a couple of reasons. But we hadn't won a championship. Oh, I'm sorry. No team in the NBA. I'm the first person to say this. No team in the NBA has won a championship, right? We went back all the way to 1958 without an All-NBA first team or MVP caliber player. And we wonder why the Knicks hadn't won. Ewing got an All-NBA first team in 1990. It just so happened that Michael Jordan was there. I shouldn't have said his name. I always say the bald-headed guy in Chicago. Nonetheless, that bald-headed guy was there who he reigned terror on us for multiple years. Then Hakeem the Dream happened to be there. And then Dave Robinson with Tim Duncan happened to be. It just was a lot of other great players to block Ewing from reaching that milestone. But we hadn't had a player of that caliber since Ewing. No, Melo was not All-NBA first team in his career. Amari made it 1 year, but that was 4 years before he came to the Knicks, and them knees was already done. Big time salute to Amari. I'm not taking shots at him, but we never had the player of that caliber. That's why you don't win the championship. In basketball, you need star players. Star players wins championships. Now, my goal, or not my goal because I'm not doing it, but my desire is for Jalen Brunson to turn it up and be that, because Towns, unfortunately, is not that. He looks great in moments, but we need the consistency, right? We need him to, you got to be 20-10 every night, because Brunson's giving you 20 and 6 every night. You gotta give us 22 and 12 every night. And Big Bodega, you're not giving us that. We need that. And that's what my concern is going into a postseason with a team that doesn't have the qualifications of the previous champions. And we think we're going to just break the mold. The only team to do it was the Detroit Pistons in 2004, but they had 4 All-Stars. They had dogs, like you said. They had guys that were about that life. They had the Defensive Player of the Year, right? 4 All-Stars. Like, that Detroit team had elements that we can't say we have right now. Now, can we develop that, or can we get that? Possibly. I don't want to shoot us that, I don't want to not give us a shot while we're still in it. But Towns, he's the guy to really, he would check off all of the boxes, because a lot of the greatest players in this game that dominated the game were big men. So we got the big man and the little guy, but the big guy has to be the big guy. Right? Like, he has to, we had Walt Clyde Frazier back in the day, but we had Willis Reed. Willis Reed was the MVP. Walt was great. Everybody remembers Walt, but Willis Reed was the MVP and the captain, right? This day, Jalen Brunson's the captain. Okay, that's cool. But Big Bodega Cat, man, you gotta, we're gonna need you to turn it up, brother. And if you could sustain 25 and 12, or 24, 23 and 12, I take that, and then up it in the playoffs to 25 and 12, 25 and 13. Now we're talking. And I think Mike Brown, he's trying to get him involved. I see the changes that they're making. Like I said, they're playing slower. The offensive rebounds are down. The shooting is pretty much the same. So you can't say, well, they're shooting better. No, what it is they're playing. This is how I know they're playing slower. Well, let me get my man Earl back to the stream. I didn't mean to hit the crowd applause, but okay. You're back. I'm not sure what happened, but we good. So yeah, I think that Bodega Cat, he's somebody who he needs to, we need him to turn it up. We're gonna need him to turn it up. And it's going to be hard to win without it, right? I know we also had conversations on this channel about OG Anunoby. Like, should he be the second option? But he's not consistent, like you said. Like, how can we rely on that? We can't. So, yeah, there's some concerns here. But he averaged 25 and 12 last year. If he could just do what he did last year, okay, at least you're doing something. You don't got the alpha dog mentality still, but give me the 25 and 12. So, guys, I know you guys may have just tuned in. This is the Blue and Orange Brunch Show. I'm here with my man, Errol Marks from Jab in the mouth. All right. So what we need you guys to do, as always, smash that like button. We got to get the likes up. All right. As you enter, we got to make sure our goal is a minimum of 300. Well, we want to get we want to get to 300 likes, but the minimum is 100 likes. So continue to smash that like button. We got to continue to get the likes up. It's very important to the YouTube algorithm. And then we're going to open up the phone lines as well so you guys can call up. All right. But you guys have to do your part while you watch. All right. So what we'll do now, Errol, we could open up the phone line. Let me get this on the screen. Hold on. Let me get it like this. Bam. So you guys can call up 646-995-8389. We talking about the Knicks. We talked about Towns. We didn't get to Brunson yet, but if you want to talk about Brunson, do you think Brunson will be here for the rest of his career? Well, is that even a reality in today's NBA going forward? I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious to know. If you want to chime in on that while we wait for some calls, you can. Do you think Jalen Brunson will be here for the rest of his career?
It's hard. It's hard to think that Jalen Brunson is right there at the age of 30. And by the time his contract is up, he'll be about 32 years old. You're going to have to pay him $80 million a year. You're usually at the tail end of your career when you hit the 32, 33 mark, unless you're Steph Curry, where you can shoot up threes.
Right.
Jalen Brunson's game is mainly on the perimeter, isolation, speed. I don't know how long he can withstand the beatings that he gets every single game in and game out. How many ankle injuries has he had since he's come to the New York Knicks? Wrist injuries. Remember in the playoffs last year, he had his wrist, taped up. So that's the problem right now. And I love Jalen Brunson. I think he is a born Knick. He should have been drafted by the Knicks, but he was drafted in the second round by the Mavericks. But he's a superb player. He really developed his skills here in New York and became a superstar. I think him and Cade Cunningham are the two best point guards in all of the Eastern Conference. You can argue that, the Western Conference has GSA. There are great players, and great point guards in this league. But do I think that the Knicks are going to re-sign? Well, Leon Rose always sticks to his guys, and he believes in his guys. So I don't know if he gets $80 million, but I could see the Knicks giving a 3-year deal worth a little bit around the $60 million mark. I think that's where the Knicks are going to probably negotiate with him. You cannot give him a 5-year deal. It's not feasible to this team if they want to withstand or even compete at a high level. And remember, the Knicks are in a window right now. They got a 2-year window, 3-year window right now. If it's not with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, it's going to be with Giannis and Jalen Brunson. So you have to understand that the Knicks see themselves in a position where they have to get this bunch of guys to play at a high level and do it in a very quick fashion. Because, like I said, in basketball, there's a window. Look at the Nuggets. Their window has closed. I don't care what anybody says, and you can say whatever. We all know who the best player in the league is, and who's won the MVP three times in the last 6 years. So we know who he is. But look at them. I mean, Murray. Is Murray going to be there much longer? He's not the same player. They traded Porter to the Nets. They're not the same team. They had that 3-dimensional trio of players. They won one championship. Then they have to move on. How long is the Timberwolves going to wait with Anthony Edwards? Anthony Edwards took him as far as he could in the finals, but could he get him over the hump? That's why they traded Karl-Anthony Towns. So the Knicks are right now in that window. Can they win with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns? Can they pay? Will they pay Jalen Brunson? Yes, they're going to pay Jalen Brunson. He's going nowhere. Will he be a Knick for life? Well, that's up to Jalen Brunson. If Jalen Brunson's going to take less years and take take the money for the less years, the Knicks are going to keep Jalen Brunson. A Knick for life, I don't see it. I think he could play with the Knicks till he's 35, 36. If he wants to play any further than that, he won't be a Knick for life because the Knicks are not going to re-sign him after 35, 36. Leon Rose is a very smart man. He was an agent. He's not stupid. And he's got a bunch of guys behind him that know what they're doing. So that's my opinion.
I agree. And by the way, guys, call up 646-995-8389. The number is on the screen and in the description. So you need it. It's there. But I agree. I think that with the apron politics, and competing versus non-competing. When you're not competing, you typically going to get rid of your guys and get picks. And so if the Knicks go through that phase where they have to get rid of guys and retool and rebuild, I don't know how you keep a guy in his mid-30s on the team. Hold on, we do got a caller. Hello, caller. State your name. Where you calling from?
Yeah, man, what's going on? This is Alberto. I'm actually out here in Miami. How you guys doing?
Big time salute to Alberto, man. Everything is good, man. Talk to us. Where you want to go? We got a lot of topics. We're talking about Towns. We're talking about the Cavs. We're talking about Jalen Brunson. Where you want to go, sir?
Yeah. So regarding just I guess the responsibility, right? Let's talk about like the workload for the Knicks, right? We obviously our number one guy, Jalen Brunson. Shaq was talking to Towns about him being the two, right? The 1-2, the 2 to the 1-2 punch, right? So, but what happens in basketball? Defense is they're built to take away your 1-2 punch, right? If it's not the one that if they don't take away the jab, they're taking away your cross or your hook or whatever it is, right? So that's just how it works. So my thing is, we all know what Towns is. He's not the alpha dog, Kobe mentality. I don't know if it's I might get a lot of flame for this, but I don't know if it's like a generational thing regarding that or what. But we're losing that dog in people. We got that in Jalen Brunson. The little guy acts like the big guy, and the big guy acts like the little guy. Fine, okay, we get that. So let's play to our advantages. So when they take away the 2, who's our 3? Like I feel like I'm always asking myself, who the heck is our 3? Like, is it OG or is it Bridges? Obviously, for me, Bridges got to step up. Bridges has got to be that guy where he's already been in that role where he's taken over completely. He's had the responsibility. He is the X factor. He's got to step it up. He's got to be a little bit more consistent, And I feel like with him, like he could take that load off of Towns. That's what he's there for. OG and Bridges are there for a reason, because Towns is not that guy, and Zach Randolph wasn't either, right? But I don't know.
So you don't think OG Anunoby is the third option on this team, or are you saying you don't think that he's consistent enough?
I think Bridges should be our true third option to take that pressure off of. And if OG shows up, man, even better, the cream on the crop, right? But I think it's too much to ask of OG. OG was brought here for defense. All this step back shooting that he's doing and driving to the basket, he never had that part of his game before. That's just an add-on. Now we're asking him to do, more than what he was doing before, which is great. He's getting paid for it, yeah. But who was the guy doing it always before? It's Bridges, not OG.
Okay. All right. Bridges. Well, OG was the third option last year, though. Technically, Bridges. He rarely steps up to the plate, but OG's technically the third option. If you want to base it on scoring numbers and shots.
Yeah, I was trying to base it off of career, like who's
career. I got you.
Right.
But I appreciate the call, my brother. Listen, man, I'm gonna lock in your name and number, man. Big time salute. All right.
See ya.
Peace. As you guys call up, right? I just want to let you guys know. Well, we'll definitely get the likes up. All right. That's not what I wanted to let you know, but we got to get the likes up. But I also wanted to let you know that the call, if it's your first time calling, we have a 3-minute call rule. So it's a hard 3 minutes. We got my man Earl on the show, so we want to talk to you guys. So that's how it works. Now, if you do want to call back, you can with a super chat or a Cash App. All right, the $5 callback rule, okay, is in effect. All right. Now, Errol, what do you think about that third option? You think that Bridges should technically be the third option instead of OG?
100%. I love the caller. I think he's absolutely right. Mikal Bridges has been in that situation before. Remember, when he went to the Knicks, he was the number one option. He was a guy that was scoring 30 points a game at some points, and he was the guy. He was the go-to guy. So he knows what it is to if those guys, Jalen Brunson isn't playing at a high level, and Karl-Anthony Towns isn't playing at a high level, and they need the points. It should be coming from Mikal Bridges's platform. He should be the guy that's going to be shooting the ball and getting those hoops. But again, is Mikal Bridges a guy that you're going to depend on, just like his OG Anunoby
Exactly.
guy? The guy
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
The guy that I
that's
think,
what I was saying though. Go ahead.
The guy that I think is the third option, especially in the playoffs, and people are going to think I'm nuts. It's the guy that has the fever in him, the guy that goes up for the rebounds. He plays like a big man, and that's Josh Hart. Josh Hart is the guy. He's the guy that I think there are games that you can see Josh Hart score 20, 18. He's going to give you the points. He's going to get you the rebounds at his size. He's the guy that goes up there when he's 100% healthy. He's playing at a high level. Josh Hart has been one of the best trades that in the last 5 years that the Knicks have made and a lot of teams have made, because he's the heart and soul of that roster. Say whatever you want about Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. The heart of the New York Knicks is Josh Hart. That's his name, Josh Hart. And there's a reason why his last name's Hart, because he's the heart and soul of that team, that organization. So I think he's the guy that is the leader on that bench. I don't know if anybody, when they call timeouts and we're looking at the defense and Mike Brown's calling the defensive plays, who do you think is speaking and pointing guys out where they need to be? It's Josh Hart. So it's the guy, that's the guy. And I agree with the caller. Mikal Bridges has got to be the third guy. He has to be.
He's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we all in agreement with Mikal supposed to be the third guy, because like you said, when he was with the Nets, he was averaging 26 a game. I mean, he was a gunslinger with the man. But now all of a sudden, I call it the disappearing acts. He just disappeared, And
look at Porter right now. He's with the Nets. He went from a number 3 option to a number 1 option.
You're right. The number 1. Yeah. He's cooking. Yeah. It's like the Nets. You go to the Nets and you just get the stimulus package over there. So you got to do to revitalize your career. Go to the Nets. Lose, of course. But I hear. And honestly, you're right about Hart, but you're wrong in practicality, because Josh Hart's attitude is, I got to get these guys. Got to get these guys. He does too much of this. I need my third option to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. We got a lot of scorers on this team. And to also talk about Denver, and I'm going to get back into some calls, but because, me and Earl, we could talk the whole show with just me and him for like 4 hours. But Denver's problem is defense. That's what they lost. They lost. Offensive, they're amazing. Honestly, I think it's between us and Denver for the best offensive team in basketball. But I'm telling you right now, the defense is Denver's. They cannot stop nobody. Like, it'll be 128 to 126 every night. They're going to score, but they can't stop nobody. I mean, let's take some more calls. And guys, as you do call up, smash that like button. It's very important for the algorithm. All right. We got too much people in here to not get the likes up. All right. Let me see if my man D is ready. What's going on? D from Los Angeles. Talk to me, brother.
What's good? How y'all doing?
We doing good. We doing good. Go ahead.
As the last caller said, and as you're both saying, it should be Mikal, right? Because he can break a defender down in ISO as a third option. I see OG as a Sean Marion, who doesn't necessarily need to put the ball on the floor to put up 40, 10, and 5. Like, he can dominate as long as he's getting set up in motion. He can dominate, and that's what we should want from him, because that's the reason why we got rid of RJ, because RJ needed to get into too much ISO while we already had Brunson and Randall. So we literally moved off of RJ to get OG to do exactly what Sean Marion was doing with the 7 seconds or less Suns and the championship Mavericks.
Okay.
Don't worry about on the floor. Play in motion. Let's set you up, and you will dominate on both sides of the court. So it should be Mikal. But as I've said, Mikal is not delivering. Cat gets a lot of blame. Mikal's only consistent thing is his fadeaway, because I don't know if he's scared of layups or whatever the case may be, but he should get a lot more blame, if we're being honest, based on how much it costs for us to get him. So there's that.
Right.
Also, what you mentioned about Cat, Knicks fans need to understand, in my opinion, this is our window to win a championship. This year. We do not want to wait till next year. Too many things. There's a saying that everybody knows, strike while the iron's hot. Right now, the iron's hot. The East is a little bit weaker. The West is going to be a dogfight, and whoever we meet in the finals, we meet in the finals and hopefully overcome them. But this is the year that we should be focused on, nothing after this. The only way our window extends, if this team does not get it done, based on how the contracts are constructed right now, is a Giannis trade that still keeps the team,
Right.
deep enough to win a championship. So we should be focused on this year. And I want to close out with this because I don't think it's mentioned enough. And I think this should be a topic that you should bring up. Is it safe to say that Leon Rose is the best trade deadline GM in the entire NBA?
Okay.
If you go back 5 years in a row, Derrick Rose, every single year, even the Cam Reddish that failed one year and then he flipped for Josh Hart. If you go back and look, it looks like he's the most brilliant trade deadline GM in the league. But I'm gonna leave y'all at that though.
Thank you, D. I appreciate you, brother. Big time salute. You want to respond to that? That's a great call. That's my man D from Los Angeles. He's a very knowledgeable fan. We get some very knowledgeable guys up here. What are you going to say to that?
Fantastic. That's a fantastic call. I agree with him. Leon Rose has been the best trade deadline guy, in the last 5 years. If you think about it, the Cam Reddish and flipping it off for Josh Hart. Look at what Josh Hart has delivered to the New York Knicks. He gave them heart, and he gives them that personality that they need, the hard-nosed New York Knicks personality that we've been missing since the 90 New York Knicks. So I agree with him. I think Leon Rose, I love Leon Rose. A lot of people were attacking the organization for making that move, bringing in an agent to take over this team, but he brought the right guys around him. He brought a bunch of executive guys. Worldwide West is really the guy behind all these draft picks. If you think about the second round draft picks, or even getting Quickly, he was part of Anunoby. That was him. That was Worldwide West. Kolick,
100%.
Worldwide West. McBride, Worldwide West. All these guys, Worldwide West. So I think he's absolutely right. Absolutely. And the window is now. He is absolutely right. If they want to win, it's now. Unless they make a move for Giannis. But remember, there's a coulda, shoulda, woulda. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now for all the Knicks fans out there. Giannis could have went to Miami. He could have went to the Timberwolves. Trade never happened. Never happened. Because you know why it never happened? He didn't want to go to those two organizations. He knew he wasn't going to win with the Timberwolves, and he knew he wasn't going to win with Miami. But he wants to be here. He really wants to be here. So if this does not, and I'm going to tell you, even if the Knicks go to the finals and they fail, Giannis is definitely going to be on the board of #1 targets in the offseason.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah, and you're 100% right. I wish we disagreed more because when we disagreed in the call, it was magic.
Don't worry,
today we've been disagreeing a lot.
Trust me, there'll be a lot.
There will be, right? I think that the in terms of him being the best trade deadline GM, I love it. I thought he was going to say the best GM. I love him, but I don't know if I could put him over Presti. But trade deadline, where I'm gonna make that move, the subtle move. I can get off a bad asset, like you said, Cam Reddish. Don't forget Yabusele. Nobody wanted Yabusele. But then to convince him to take away his player option, oh my God, that right there is genius. I've never seen someone waving. This is a guy who said, I want to get an NBA pension. I need to put you get him to take away a year because he ain't getting it next year. 100%. Now, he may get signed. I hope he does. Big time salute to Yabu. No beef there. But, dude, there's no way that nobody wanted to keep that salary. Nobody. So, yeah, I think that he's on the money, man. As I take these calls, listen, Maxine, we got to continue to get the likes up. It's very important. I'm going to get to the calls, right? But we got to get the likes up. We got a lot of people in the building. The likes don't match the amount of viewers we have, okay? What's going on, caller? State your name and where you're calling from.
Tony from Brooklyn.
Big time salute to you, Tony from Brooklyn.
Let's go.
Where you want to go?
I'm going with the Knicks. How is it that, most nights it's a mismatch with Karl-Anthony Towns? He should be featured every night, if they want to win. Because if you
Okay.
have a player with a mismatch every night on the floor and you're not using it, that doesn't make sense.
So whose fault do you think it is? Do you think it's Towns not being assertive, or do you think that the coaching wasn't implementing enough plays for him in the beginning of the season?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Because behind the scenes, I'm quite sure they see it just like we see it. He's a mismatch out there. You got to feature him.
Yeah.
Every night to see where he gonna go. We gonna go as far as Towns could take us, not Brunson. Not Brunson. Towns is the key to everything the Knicks need.
So you brought up Brunson. Do you think Brunson is going to retire as a Knick? Do you see that happening? Do you think it's possible that he'll spend the rest of his years here, whether it be 10 or 8, however more years he got?
No, I wouldn't give his next deal supposed to be almost $300 million. I wouldn't pay. You can't give him that. You can't.
Try 400 million, by the way. Yeah, 400.
Oh, you can't give him that. Absolutely not. If somehow we win a championship this year, you might can do that. But
okay,
we haven't even gotten to the finals yet. So
right.
nah, you can't give him $400 million. That'd be absurd.
Okay.
That
So
would be absurd.
So okay, so it's crazy. Like, I did a poll on this. It got over 600-700 votes, and a lot of people were like, "Yo, we got to pay him no matter what." I'm like, where are these people on the calls? Like, where are these people on the calls?
You can't pay a one-sided player $400 million.
Okay,
he doesn't do. He's a good player, player, but I mean, first of all, he's only 6 foot, if that. And throughout the history of professional basketball, there's only been one player at that size to win, and that's Zeke. And he's not on Zeke level. I'm sorry.
Okay. What about Steph?
So
he's his size.
Curry about 6'4", but look at his shooting.
Nah, Curry's not.
His shooting
Curry's not
is
6'4".
astronomical. Curry 6'2".
Yeah, but 6'2", maybe 3. Maybe
yeah, but
3.
But his shooting is you never saw nobody like that.
The one thing I will say, brother, I appreciate your call. I got your name and number locked in, so you can listen to my response on the playback. Big time salute to you, brother. All right, salute.
Thank you.
One of the things I'm gonna say about the point about Jalen Brunson and can he win? I don't like the height bias. I know he's short. That's what people say. He's short, but it's not just about short guards. It's guards, period. Because there ain't too many 6'6" guys that won it. I mean, you got MJ, you got Kobe, and now SGA. If you want to add D-Wade, fine, but he had Shaq. But if you want to add D-Wade, fine. That's it. It's not like you have this wave of big guards winning championship. Usually it's big men. It's always been big men. Shaq, Duncan, KG, it's always been big guys. What's your thoughts on that? With the whole Brunson size aspect to it.
Allen Iverson wasn't a big guy,
That's bingo. They see
he wasn't a big guy. He didn't win a championship. But he took a team all the way to a championship, and he came close. He just didn't have enough weapons around him. And AI went at the tail end of his career with Denver. And he played with Carmelo Anthony, and obviously was traded for Chauncey Billups eventually. But I think that the thought here is I could understand what people are saying, that maybe he's too small. He's not the right size. Chauncey Billups, they say he's 6'3", but Chauncey Billups at 6'3", I've met Chauncey Billups. He is not 6'3", so he's not a 6'3" man. He's like 6'1", 6'2". So he wasn't a big man either. And remember, Chauncey Billups, when he was drafted, he was a high draft pick, and then he was eventually traded to Detroit. And finally, you get put with Rip Hamilton, and you get played with Rasheed Wallace, and you put a team together that was and Prince. You had all this talent around him, and it helped Chauncey Billups really develop his skills, because I think it was the Celtics that drafted Chauncey Billups. So I think that, yeah.
And thank you for giving me another guy to add. The only reason why I didn't add Chauncey, because I think he might be listed at 6'4".
Yeah. 6'3". He's listed as 6'3", but he's not 6'3",
right? Okay.
He is not.
You're right.
I met Chauncey.
So I'm gonna add him to my list. Thank you for giving me another guy to balance it out. If these guys we try to call, he's too small. It hasn't been done. I'm like, but that's why I extended it to say, hey, well, you only really got 3. If you want to add D Wade, I mean, he had Shaq, but if you want to add him, I'll give him to you. Still only 4. You know, so like,
how about
it is what it is.
Amir Nelson wasn't a big man. He took a team all the way to the finals with Orlando and Dwight Howard. That was he was a small guy. Now they didn't win, and I understand that.
Of course,
you can win with the small guy, and I agree with him that are you going to pay him $400 million? I don't know if I pay him $400 million, but if he's willing to take a 3-year deal worth about $200 million, and we overpay you, or maybe even pay you like $75 million for 3 years, I would do that. Now the thing is that with the NBA and the way the NBA works, obviously the salary cap's going to go up, just like in the NFL, just like in the NHL. It always goes up. The problem is you got guys like Steph Curry, where he gets that super max contract, and you have all these superstars. How about Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum? They're super max contracts. It's ridiculous what these guys are getting paid. And then I wrote a story on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and I was comparing the bench players for the NFL and the bench players that are right now in the NBA, the 13th and 12th guy. They're making close to $2 million. To the bench player 100%. In the NFL is making like 200, 300,000 at best. So it's and
it's not guaranteed.
No,
don't forget that.
No,
you get
guaranteed. Hurt. It's guaranteed with the NBA.
Right. So yeah, you're on the money with that. And then the apron politics makes it even worse because now you got Mitchell Robinson, who may be on the way out for a multitude of reasons. Whether or not they say, hey, we don't think we should go in the second apron, then Mitch is gone, or they trade Giannis. Mitch is gone unless you give up a lot more salary to bring him in.
I got another player.
It's going to still be difficult.
I got another player. John Stockton. John Stockton is another one. I know he played with Karl Malone, but John Stockton went to the final 2 times in a row. If they didn't walk into Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, they're a 2-time champion. So
that's why that guy, the ball-headed guy, that's why he has to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, because so many great players don't have championships. And I don't like the guy. Trust me, I don't. But we got to be real. Hold on, we got another caller. Hello, caller.
Joe.
Hello, caller. State your name. Where you calling from, brother?
Indiana, homie.
Let's go. Oh, Indiana. Uh-oh. Where we go? Where are we going? Are you a Pacers fan? Where are we going?
I'm an OG Anunoby fan.
Oh, okay, let's go. All right. So you ride it with New York, man. So what do you think about OG? You think that he should be our second option? Where you want to go?
I think he's first team All-NBA.
First team All-NBA to you?
Oh, yeah, defense, for sure. He's definitely second option over Cat.
Okay. And
I mean, how upset would you be if you were OG and you had to play defense around Cat just standing there?
Okay. I hear that. But when you say, that he's not going to make I don't think he's going to make the 65-game qualification. If there was no 65-game qualification, you saying that he should be defensive. I agree with that. But what does defense have to do with offense?
You got to have the ball to score.
You didn't answer my question, but okay. So you think OG should be the number one option. So what do you got to say when he doesn't score?
He should be at least
number two, I'm sorry. Number two.
Yeah.
What do you got to say when he doesn't score, when he has the 6-point games and he has the games where he's struggling and he's missing like 8 straight corner threes? Do you really think?
Watch how frustrated he gets with trying to run around Cat on defense.
Okay. So you got a vendetta against Cat.
He wears it all over his face. No, I'm a fan of OG. You can see OG wear it on his face.
Okay.
Middle of the first quarter, that first run, OG is either all in or all out, depending on how Cat is helping or not helping on defense.
Okay, got it. So because he went to Indiana College, so I'm assuming that's your school that you ride with.
Right.
So you have to also be a Pacers fan by default, right? Like,
I grew up a Pacers fan, yeah, but then I followed OG. I was a Raptors fan. I got that good run with the 2019 Raptors. So
got it. So you guys, to talk about the Pacers really quickly, since you ride with Indiana, do you guys think that you're going to be able to keep your pick? Because I see you guys tanking. Why you didn't tank against us? Why you had to play that Quentin Jackson kid? And I knew he was going to have a great game. Why you had to play him against us if you're trying to tank? Could you explain that to me?
Life's brighter than MSG, man.
Oh, okay. I hear you. I hear you, brother. I hear you. So what should I save your? What should I save your name under? Because I got like haters from all teams. I got like 18 Detroit haters. Could I save you as like Indiana Pacer like hater number like 5? Because I think we got 4.
Sure, that works. I'm cool with that.
I appreciate you, brother. Great call. I got your number locked in.
Spicy P is where it's at.
All right. Big time salute to Spicy P in Indiana. You're not going to win nothing, but salute. All right. I'll talk to you later. All right. Big time. Yo, I like that call. Yo, honestly, that call wasn't the best example of it, but we have great basketball conversations with the other team. That's why they call it. Like Detroit, they love. I'm surprised they didn't call yet. Maybe they did. We missed a whole lot of calls. Let me see if I can get my man Mike in here. And then I want to talk about the game tonight. The Cleveland game after this call. But and then we'll get to the calls after the Cleveland take, y'all. We got a lot of calls. Are we smashing the like button? Let's go. Let's continue to smash that like button. We got to let YouTube know that this is the hottest show in the afternoon. What's going on, Mike? Not from any of the New York Islands.
What's happening, Karan?
Big time salute, brother. Where you want to go? We got a lot. We talk about Towns, Brunson. Where you want to go?
Well, I could go with Towns and with Brunson, because I'm saying, just like that gentleman said, that your prior call, the way you go is how Towns goes in this NBA. That's going to get the Knicks over the hump, as we have been seeing when he has been featured and not been iced out of the game. You've had a totally different outlook on these games, and it even helps Brunson. And in turn, we're realizing that if Brunson is shooting, like you said, now you have these analytics, and I really don't believe in analytics. I believe in the eye test. When you look at the game, if Brunson is doing his dancing, and I call him, JoJo Dancer, if he's doing his dancing and the rest of the team is watching, we're going to have a hard game. But if Brunson is passing the ball, moving the ball, and not on the ball all the time, and we're early in the shot clock, I mean, we have easy games. It's a fun game to see.
Okay. Well, I know you're saying that for me because, I got the analytics to show that Jalen Brunson shooting does not hurt.
I know all this. If he shoots this, and if he shoots that.
Also, there's a lot of stat slander on this show. Let me tell you something. One thing I do, I'm not a box score warrior. I watch a lot of basketball. That's
I know
one.
You do.
So 2, it's called stats with context. I'm not the super advanced. I'm not going to tell you he takes 2 dribbles per second. Now that's just bad. The stats I give you.
Yeah, you got guys out there doing that. Though.
Yeah, that's not. You don't watch. Listen, if you're that much of a stat person, you don't know basketball, bro. Because I deal with practical stuff, shooting percentage. The only advanced stats I like is defensive, offensive rating, but even that requires context.
But I got to ask you something, Karan.
Context. Yes, let's go.
Have you seen Fleming from Houston play defense? He can go strong both ways. He's controlling the game.
I didn't get to watch it. Earl, you seen him, right?
I've watched Fleming's, and Fleming's is a top 10 pick. He is absolutely a top 10 pick.
What?
Houston. Absolutely. And he is probably go 9 or 8. The Wizards, depending on where they fall, I could see the Wizards drafting him if they fall out of the top 3. I like Flemings. He plays 2-dimensional basketball. He is a perfect fit. If the Knicks had Flemings, you could put him in many. You could put him at the 2. You could put him at the 3. He's a great defender, and he can play 2-dimensional basketball. So I agree with you. I like Flemings.
So listen to his take. No, listen to his take. Watch this, Errol. Go ahead. Tell him your take.
You have Fleming. You have Wagler. That's out there. You have Phylon. You have generational guards that's out there, and we can move up in the draft. I mean, Brunson is giving an ultimatum talking about, you need to look out for me this time. We got to look out for me this time. But I think the Knicks looked out for Brunson when they brought Bridges in with 5 draft picks.
and they paid his boy Josh Hart to surround him.
Okay,
and
hold on.
hold
on, Mike. Before you go, tell them how your plan is to get Fleming. You got to tell them how you plan on getting him.
Well, hey, look, I'm looking to see how this ends. But one of those players that are in this rotation, somebody's going to have to get moved to move up in the draft, because these are generational guys. Don't you really want somebody for a change that could come in and add to this lineup and even lead? And maybe we can have them on a rookie deal for a number of years. Because again, we're going to have to pay somebody, and you're going to max this guy out. You're not going to have nobody on the team but Brunson. And if you're happy
who you willing
Brunson,
to trade?
Dan,
No. Who are you willing to trade to get the Fleming kid? Let's go. You got to say it.
Well, hey, I might move Brunson to get him.
Okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I just want you to say that, and we're going to respond, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Mike.
Okay. All right.
All right. Salute.
I think Fleming is more of a 2 in the NBA than he is a 1. I think he could also play the 3 in the NBA, because a lot of 3s are smaller in the NBA now because of the ability that they have to get to the hole. So I don't know if he's a point guard in the NBA. Only time will tell if Fleming fits as a point guard. He's oversized point guard, because a lot of like Kate Cunningham, who's 6'6", he's played, he's one of the bigger point guards in the NBA. Usually a point guard's either 6'4" low, and he's 6'4". But I think he's more. I think he's more of a 2 in the NBA.
Right.
I think he's going to develop like Mitchell. He's going to develop a shot when he gets to the NBA.
Okay.
I think he's that kind of player. I think if he goes to the right team. Remember, Houston is not an offensive team; they're a defensive team. They're more known, and they have problems scoring, and that's why I think Houston could be. I wouldn't say an early out, but they probably get knocked out in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 this year. I don't see them going to the Final Four. I think they're not even going to be a 1 seed. I think after what we saw against Arizona recently, I think we know what Houston is. I don't think they can put the ball in the net. And I'm not saying Fleming can't be that. Mitchell, he came from Louisville. Louisville, when they went to the Final Four with Pitino, they were more known for their defense. Mitchell was more known for his defense until he went to the NBA and developed a shot. I think that's Kingston Fleming's. I think that's who he is. I think he's more of a 2 than he is of a 1. And I would never trade him for Jalen Brunson. I think that's nuts.
Right. Thank you. That's
nuts.
Thank you.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
So, but
thank you, Errol. Thank you. That's why I had them get it out. So, we could say it's crazy. Big time salute to my man Hakeem the Dream for the Super. He said, if Jordan and Olajuwon didn't end their careers with their teams, Brunson won't. Ooh. Well, you can't really count Jordan, because Jordan came back and that was a part of the deal for him to get into ownership. So you can't really count Jordan, but I get his point. The Knicks better not give a very limited player a massive extension.
So I got it. So Donovan Mitchell, when he was in Louisville, averaged 11.7 points per game, 4 point rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game, and almost 2 steals a game in over 65 games. Fleming's is averaging 16 points. And if you bring up his numbers, Fleming's is not too far apart from his totals and his numbers. And Fleming's is averaging almost 2 steals a game too. So they're very similar. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is a little bit smaller than he is. He's not as big. He's 6'2" to Fleming's 6'4", but they play almost the same style of game. And that's why I think whoever drafts Fleming's, they're going to move him to a 2 or a 3, because he's so fast off the ball and he can defend multiple positions, and he still has that size where you can put him in those positions to succeed as a star player in this league. So I think he's going to develop even better as an offensive player in the NBA, wherever he goes, because I think he's got that ability. And that's why I think Fleming's is a top 8, top 9 pick. He might fall out of the top 10 depending on how everything falls. But I watch a lot of college basketball. I love him. I love Kingston Fleming's. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. I just don't think he's a 1. I just don't think that's where he is. So
okay. But I'm not trading Jalen Brunson for nobody in college, unless maybe I might get one of the top 3. Then I might think, but I'm not doing it. Jalen Brunson is Jalen, but I can't do it. Sorry. Especially for a kid. Me personally, I hear what you're saying. I've never seen the kid play yet, so I'm not trading him for a kid that I've never seen. Now I got to see the kid and be wild, maybe, but no, I'm not doing it.
And I got news for you. If the Wizards fall out of the top 8, the Knicks will be drafting. Okay. The Knicks will be drafting at 9. So if Kingston,
so then we might get them.
They can get them.
Exactly.
So there you
get. So why would I? Exactly.
There you go. So maybe that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But what do you think about what Hakeem said? He said that Russ, Jordan, and Elijah want, even though Jordan, I wouldn't use that. He only did that because he had to do it to get in the ownership. But he said Brunson won't, and the Knicks better not give a very limited player. That's the key word, a very limited player. What's your thoughts on Hakeem saying that?
So
that Brunson is.
So what did he say? I heard what he said about Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan, but I lost the other stuff.
They didn't end their careers with their team. So he's trying to say Brunson won't. Brunson won't. The Knicks better not give a very limited. Then he added another caveat to it by saying they better not give a very limited player a massive extension.
Okay, so let's go to Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon. First of all, Hakeem Olajuwon was drafted by Houston and ended his career with Houston. Michael Jordan was drafted by the Bulls, and he ended with the Wizards. He retired. He's back as a Wizard. Jalen Brunson started his career with Dallas. He was with the Dallas Mavericks. Now he's a Knick. So I think the fact that if the Knicks are willing to overpay him to keep him with the Knicks is crazy? No, I don't think it's crazy. I think Leon Rose respects what Jalen Brunson has done. And as far as I'm concerned, he's right that the Knicks don't want to overpay the other guys, because if they pay the other guys, they're not going to be able to extend Brunson the way they want. But guess what? They've got the bird rights of Jalen Brunson. That's how it all works now because of Larry Bird and the Celtics. The bird rights. So they've got the bird rights with Jalen Brunson. So I think he's listen. I think a lot of people love Jalen Brunson. They love what he's doing. They love what he's brought to the New York Knicks. And I love Jalen Brunson because he's a great leader. But if you got to overpay and pay him $400 million at 32, 33 years old, I don't know if I want to go too high with that and put us in cap hell, where when Jalen Brunson's at the tail end of his career, where we're reaching like we did with a lot of these other players that we decided to extend in the long run. Amari Stoudemire, remember what we did with him? We knew his career was over. We knew his knees were done, but hey, we'll extend him. Carmelo, so
right.
It doesn't work like that. Basketball is different than every other sport. Your youth is between 25. Really, your best basketball comes from when you're 25 all the way to you're 31, 32. After that, if you're better than that, if you're still playing at a high level, then you're an elite player. And I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is elite, but to bet on that, like you said, as a 6'1" player, I don't know if I would bet on that. And that's why the Knicks have to be very careful on how they extend Jalen Brunson. 3 years, $200 million, $210 million, pay him $75 million a year. I would do that for 3 years. But after that, anything over 3 is ridiculous. It's crazy. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. And also, like, I think that Brunson he's a good guy. And I think he would understand the landscape in the event if they don't win. Like, so if he's here and his best years are behind him, and which is, like you said, it could be, I mean, let's not shorten the guy's career. Let's not say that. Let's say you're getting closer to your worst days in the future. Do you say to these Knicks, well, you got to give me, I sacrificed $100 million. So I don't think he's built like that. I think he would settle for 60, 70. I just think that that's just the type of person he is. Even though, business and being a good person could be two different things, right? Because he has his handlers and people around him that helps him with his business. But I don't think that the money's going to be an issue. Like, we kind of started talking about it. We were one of the first people to talk about it. And like, it's been, people are like, hey, a lot of people though, like I said, I did a poll. A lot of people pay him. But some people are like, hey, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. But here's the thing too, and Errol, you might disagree on this one. If we win the championship without Giannis and he's the main guy, remember, we gotta sell something to the people. don't think the Knicks are in the business of just, oh, it's New York. We don't care. I think at one point in time you could say that, where it's like we didn't really care about the team. We still sold out. We still was having Christmas games. I think now they realize they got to have a good team. Even if they're not the best team, you got to have a quality product on the floor. So if you could sell Brunson, the first Knick to win a champion in 50-something years, and I don't think the fans would have a problem with it. I think the fans would ride along with it. And I think that, no one would complain. So that's the only way I would give him that. Even though, like you said, it'll put us in purgatory. It may not be the best thing for the team, but for the optics and the championship, because we know how champions have been groomed in the last 10 years. You're one and done. So you get that one, you're more than likely done anyway. So you're not coming back. So I think that would be the only way that we can sell it. I know.
I disagree. I don't care if you win a championship. I don't even care if you win a champion back-to-back years. You cannot overpay JALEN Brunson because, he brought 1 or 2 championships. Oh, he's our savior. Let's build it. You want to build a statue of JALEN Brunson when he does that? Then do it. Go ahead, right? Go ahead.
Okay.
Get Mike Brown, Karl-Anthony Towns. Build a whole statue of them. That's great. You cannot, as an organization, the Knicks have made so many mistakes with contracts over the years that have put them in purgatory, whatever you want to say. It put them in a situation where they couldn't make moves and they couldn't bring in players and young players at the primes of their careers because they overpaid these veteran players because they thought, they're the heart of our team. They're the heart of New York.
Right.
We all love them. I don't give a crap what JALEN Brunson brings. I love JALEN Brunson. I love him. He can win 1, 2 titles. It doesn't matter. You cannot overpay this man, no matter how many championships he wins in the next 2 or 3 years. Even 1, which the Knicks have been craving on for over 60 years. It doesn't matter. You cannot overbear yourself and say, hey, you know what? And we're Knicks fans. We love him. He brought a championship home to New York for the first time, and he's prancing and dancing around. We just got to pay him. No, I'm sorry, Knicks fans. You do not overpay the guy just because he brought a championship home to you. I'm sorry. I don't do that. Look at the Rangers. Remember the New York Rangers in '94? The Yankees. The Knicks were after the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. The Rangers were waiting to go to the Camden Heroes. They were waiting for the Knicks to win their championship so they can do it together. And what happened?
Right.
The Knicks choked in Game 7 against Elijah Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon in that team. And I remember that you had 2 Hall of Famers on that team, Clyde the Glide Drexler. I mean, I remember that team like it was yesterday. And I remember it made me sick to my stomach. And the Knicks choked.
Yeah.
John Stark was
real tears.
So he was throwing up bricks. So to me, as a Knicks fan, and we've seen a lot of, and then remember in '99 when it was a short season, they had 55 games. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Michael Jordan didn't retire in '98, they go all the way and win the championship over the Spurs. They sweep the Spurs. Okay. The Knicks, the problem with the Knicks is they had too many me guys on that roster. Sprewell, me guy. That's a me guy. I'm sorry, guys. Allen Houston, he was a me guy. Oh, I need a shot. I need this. I need that. Chris Childs. I love you, Chris. You've been on my show. I love you, Chris. He was a me guy. These were too many me guys on that roster. And Patrick Ewing was at the tail end of his career. Eventually, after that year, 99 and 2000, they trade him to the Supersonics. And pretty much after that, it put the Knicks into purgatory. So Patrick was the savior, and everybody says, well, the Knicks got lucky, or there was a frozen card, and that's why they won the draft. By the way, when was the last time the Knicks had a #1 pick after Patrick Ewing? Never.
It's a mystery. Never, right? Never. So, and why we don't get it, it's a mystery. But while we disagree on the Brunson point, we agree about everything else. But the Brunson point, I think that you got to pay them, man. I think that the fans, if you win the championship, you may lose the fans if you don't take care of Brunson. I could see the fans being like, whoa, what is this? Because here's why you're technically right. You're definitely right from a team perspective, right? Do you think that, and I love Ewing, and I was very upset when he got traded, but he was done, right? do you think we held on to Ewing too long? Because if you pay Brunson the 5 years, this may be an example of holding on to the star too long. You know, and like I said, once again, when it happened, I was upset when Ewing got traded, but I was a lot younger. I wasn't the objective fan. At the time, I was the delusional fan, right? So from a team perspective, you can't stay on guys 36, $80 million. Like that's the death of your franchise, right? You're supposed to pay guys 26 that, not 36. So maybe we just got to risk the fans being upset the same way some fans were upset when Ewing got traded. But it is what it is, man.
They waited too long with Ewing, and they should have never traded Ewing. If they were going to keep him that long,
that's what I'm saying.
They should have held on to him. That made no sense. It made no sense.
Exactly. So, and that's the point. See, that's why it's like a double-edged sword, because you should have probably traded him sooner. You could have got some good value back. Like we know that it was in the book Blood of the God. I'm not sure if you read it. But it talks about how Don Nelson was trying to set up a Shaq trade for Ewing. And they could have got Shaq in 96, but they said, no, we're going to continue to build with what we got. And I'm thinking now about the people that say we don't want to trade for Giannis. I'm thinking y'all sound like the same people that said, nah, we're going to be good with Patrick. Nah, we don't need this guy. But so it's tough, man. It's tough. But I'm not sure how much longer you got. I know 3 o'clock you said. You good? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, because I want to talk about this Cavs game, man. So what's your thoughts on the Cavs tonight? I did my scouting report, man. So all people know I do real scouting reports right there. You see, I don't got the super advanced stats on there. I got some, but I don't do the 2 dribbles per second. And then this percent ratio of simple basketball stuff. What's your thoughts on the Cavs? Have you been able to check out the Cavs, the new look Cavs with Harden?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And James Harden adds a dynamic, obviously, that Garland didn't obviously add. Yeah. And he gets along with Donovan Mitchell. We've heard Darius Garland was not getting along in the locker room with Donovan Mitchell, which is hard to believe because Donovan Mitchell is a pretty nice guy. I met Donovan Mitchell a couple of times. Very nice. He was very nice to my cousin who plays a lot of basketball. He's very open to the fans. James Harden, if he could just play this type of game, and James Harden is not a guy that's going to go out there now with this team and take over games because he knows Donovan Mitchell's the guy. When he was over there, even with Kawhi Leonard, or even when he was with Houston, wherever he was jumping, he always wanted to be the guy. I think he knows he's at the tail end. He wants to win a championship, and he believes he has his best chance of winning a championship with this team because you got guys that can play defense and has an offensive game like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. This is a good team all around, and they have a very good bench. They have a lot of depth on that bench. They have more depth on their bench than the New York Knicks. They do. I'm sorry, Knicks fans. This team has as much depth as any team in the Eastern Conference right now with the talent that they have. They have Merrill, they have Tyson, they got Hunter. All these guys are giving you 14, 13 points. They're getting, and even the other guy, Schroeder, 8 points a game right now. They're getting enough off the bench that if they need be, they need these guys to get into the game. And like Kenny Atkinson likes to spread out his team. And Kenny Atkinson, Long Island native, New York native. I always preach what Kenny Atkinson brings to the table. He is one of the best when it comes to training and teaching guards. Jeremy Lin, he helped Jeremy Lin out. Jeremy Lin got his big money because of Kenny Atkinson. And what he's doing for Donovan Mitchell this year, that you can see that Donovan Mitchell has brought to the table a little bit differently over the last 2 years, is he's become more of a team player. He's actually passing the ball more than he ever has. Averaging almost 6 assists a game right now, which is higher than any other season since he's been with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he's doing more. He's sharing the ball. And I think James Harden, as long as he doesn't hog the ball and he doesn't play that one-dimensional basketball where he's the guy and he's got to take over the game, well, then this Cavalier team is as dangerous as any team in the Eastern Conference.
100%. Honestly, I was downplaying them, doing what typical Knicks fans do. But I always do my scouting report, so I can say whatever the hell I want preliminary. But once I've watched them, and I watched at least 6 of their last 8 games, they're better than I thought they were. I was like, Harden and Mitchell, it ain't gonna work. They do a great job of sharing playmaking responsibilities. Garland and Mitchell spend a lot of time apart as well. Like, Garland might play the whole first, and then Mitchell might come out, and then Mitchell starts to. So they still do a lot of that. But I'm telling you right now, the Cavs were good. They were a good pick and roll team with Garland already. With Harden, pick and roll is it may even be better. Harden is a master at pick and roll. And to me, Allen, and Mobley, but Allen, Harden and Allen, perfect match. In the last 10 games, Allen's averaging 20.3 points per game. He's a plus 5.4. He's benefited the most from Harden's addition to this team. I always get on them for their perimeter defense, and I don't think that they're the greatest perimeter defensive team, but it's better than what I thought. This is a team that has been prolific in forcing turnovers, believe it or not. Let me see if I get the numbers for you. But they're okay. So they're in the last 10 games, they're first in points off turnovers at 23.2 a game. I'm like, whoa. I didn't expect that, but I had to watch it in order to see. And as much as I want to guarantee a victory tonight, listen, I'm gonna go to ESPN really quickly because I took a peek at the odds, right? And yeah, it's moving in the opposite direction right now, guys. It's moving in the opposite direction right now. Yeah, they're minus 4.5. Right? It started out 2.5, then it went to 3.5. Now it's a minus 4.5. Now, I'm not saying the Vegas bookies are their gods, but hey, man, Vegas don't like to lose much money, man. This is a little concerning, guys. Normally, I'm a little bit more confident coming in, and I'm like, hey, I guarantee a victory. And I'm not saying that we won't win. I'm not scared. I'm not spooky in the woods. Like, relax, y'all. Relax. We're not in the woods right now. But this team is a better team than I thought they were. They are playing a little bit of defense. Now, where they suck at, okay, where they suck at is 3-point defense is still pretty bad, right? So they moved up to 18th, but it's still 18th in the last 10 games. And they're holding their opponents to 35.6% shooting, right? Now, that's a minus 1.6. They usually give up around 37%. So they're doing a little bit better of a job, but they still got torched. The Charlotte Hornets shot 50% from three. I was like, man, the Charlotte Hornets is dangerous, bro. Now, I don't think they're a good team, but, man, when it comes to that three ball, they let it fly. I mean, and then they got that boy, my man from Duke, our boy from Duke, Noble. He's phenomenal, but they had some issues with Charlotte on the perimeter, but outside of that, they still were able to win the game. And here's another issue. We talked about offensive rebounds. When we talk about offensive rebounds, the Knicks we're down. We're a minus 3.2 in the last 10 games at 9.8 a game. Now, offensive rebounds has been the staple of the Knicks, right? We crash that offensive glass. We get second shot opportunities. For whatever reason, and we know Mitch has missed some games. Towns missed a game, but we're normally better than this, y'all. And you're talking about a team in Cleveland who they maintain their spot. They didn't move up or down, but they're still averaging 12.1 offensive rebounds. They're strong on the glass. I think that the glass has to be something that we focus on. Now, here's the good thing about us. While our offensive rebounds is down, our defensive rebounds is up. All right, we're plus one on the defensive glass at 33.8. That puts us in the A spot. So, and that also correlates to our defense. The reason why our defense has been better is because of the rebounding. But also, another thing too, I'm tired of the Karl-Anthony Towns bashing on defense. He's not a defensive liability, y'all. I'm sorry. I hate to bust your bubble. Now, I'm not saying he's a showstopper. I'm not saying he's like Mutombo out there, but he's not as bad as you think he is. What he is he's a foul liability. The fouls impacts his ability to play defense. He's always in foul trouble. if he can play under control, he's fine. He has some blocks. He has some. Go watch the last 2 games. He played phenomenal defensively. I don't really have any issues with his defense for the most part, especially if you watch the last 2 games. Now Detroit, that's bad. Like Detroit, if you look at the past couple of games, and we could look at it really quickly. If you look at the past couple of games from the Knicks, right? The defense has actually been pretty good, but Detroit is the only ISO. Hold on, am I sharing the screen? Oh, still trying to get used to restream. All right, bet. So if you look at the last couple of games here, right, the Pistons is the only ISO, and then of course the that one Pacers loss. But if you take Detroit out, this is a hell of a run. Hey, we'd be on a hell of a run if you could take Detroit out. Now you can't take Detroit out, but we're holding teams to 99 points, 106 points. I thought I was watching the early 2000s game, bro. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Am I in the early 2000s? You know, and then of course Detroit takes you back to 2026, gives you a reality check. But the rest of the game, 89 points. You know, the pace is another blip, but the defense has been incredible, and that's been with Karl-Anthony Towns in the lineup. We're one of the best. So while hold on, let me just get this off the screen. Sorry, hold on. I'm still getting used to these controls, but yeah, this is my first time using the Restream Live. Anyway, but when you talk about paint defense, the Knicks have been one of the best paint. You talk about rim protection. Believe it or not, I know this might sound crazy to some of you because y'all don't deal with stats and you think stats don't tell you the story. See, I watch the games and I read the stats, so that's why I'm a dangerous combination. I'm not just going to get, and I'm also not the super advanced guy. But when it comes to 2-point defense and paint defense, we're the top 4 paint defensive team in terms of holding teams to a low paint point percentage, right? And that's going to have to come in handy because the Cavs have been dominant in the paint. In the last 10 games, they're averaging 57.6 paint points a game. That puts them in 3rd place. They're plus 6.2. James Harden. Now, and I'll go back to Arrow after this because I got a lot, but I'm gonna go back to Arrow after this. The one thing that we could hold our heads on, if I could share my screen one last time, the one thing we could hold our heads on is that while the Cavs look good, and I got to give them their credit, you know, they've been performing. I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to take away your wins, but when you look at their wins, Arrow, when they finally went up against another real team, they got beat, and guess what? They lost to the Thunder without SGA and Williams. It was Wallace, Joe. They both had 20. I think Wallace had like 20 and 10. Joe hit was like 6 of 11 from the 3-point line. They could not stop Oklahoma City from the 3-point line. So if this is a night for Bridges to turn up, Bridges, we're going to need you in them corners because the Cavaliers are vulnerable to the 3-ball, even though their 3-point defense slightly improved. But in these last 2 games, like I told you, the Charlotte Hornets shot 50%, and this was a game. Like, they had to pull out all stops to get this win in Charlotte. But the rest of their wins, I mean, the Nets, the Wizards, okay, I give them credit for this Nuggets game, right? The Kings, the Clippers, Trail. So a lot of soft touches. You know, we beat this team already, and I think that we have the capability of beating them again. If you want to add anything, you can.
Well,
at this point, you want to respond?
The Cavs lost last year in the playoffs against the same team that beat the Knicks in the playoffs, Indiana. And they completely demolished the Cavs. They were the number 1 seed. They were the favorites of coming out of that series. And they got really demolished by Halliburton, except I think they won 1 game in that series. And that was when Donovan Mitchell went off. Donovan Mitchell, to me, in the playoffs does not show up in the big game. He has not proven to me that he is a playoff player. Remember when he was with Utah? Never showed up in those big games. They had Gobert and they had him. That Utah team was a pretty good team in the Western Conference. Yeah. They got as far as the 2nd round of the playoffs, and then they lost. To me, Donovan Mitchell has not proven to me that he can take it and put everything on his back and ride it all the way to the Eastern or to the finals. So I'm not going to bet on the Cleveland Cavaliers, no matter where they land, or where they fall in the 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place, or even 4th or 5th place in the Eastern Conference. I don't trust that some of their big-time players are going to show up in the big game. As far as Karl-Anthony Towns is concerned, I disagree with I think he quits on a lot of plays. I've seen him quit a lot, especially in the big games. Now, over the last couple of games, he's played pretty decent defense. He's been good. But I'm not going to bet that Karl-Anthony Towns in a big game or in a series is going to take over or be the defensive player we need him to be. Even half of the defensive player we need him to be, because to me, he's very soft. I agree with Shaq. I agree with Barkley. He needs to learn how to be a dog. This guy is, and as well as all the callers that called up and said that Karl-Anthony Towns needs to be the go-to guy. He needs the ball in his hands more than Jalen Brunson. I agree with these guys, because to me, every time they lean towards Jalen Brunson, it becomes an ISO game. They're not the same prolific offense they are when Karl-Anthony Towns gets the ball and he uses his ability to score as much as Jalen Brunson. I agree. And if to me, you got to flip-flop. If you're going to give Jalen Brunson the ball more in the first quarter, then you got to give the ball more in the second quarter to Karl-Anthony Towns. Use him in the offensive game as much as you possibly can, so it gives guys like Josh Hart or OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges a little bit more confidence that they are going to be the other guy or the other go-to guy, that it can open up the offense. Because remember, everything with basketball is just like football. You need that momentum. You need that belief that you're going to score baskets. If they have that, the Knicks and all their players are going to be swarming and be able to put the ball in the net, and it gives them all confidence to score. So I agree. I'm not worried. Listen, right now Cleveland's a favorite of winning this game. Good for them. That don't mean nothing. That means nothing until the game is played. We'll see if the Knicks show up in the fourth quarter like they've been doing over the last couple of games. If they do that, they should run right through the Cavaliers, as good as the Cavaliers are playing. And you're right. The Cavaliers haven't beaten nobody. They've beaten nobody. Sacramento is not a good
team.
They're not good.
Right.
So Sacramento is, Sabonis is not coming back for the rest of the season. He's gone. So they're not a good team. There's nobody on that roster, and they're trying to lose out games just like Indiana, just like the Nets, because they want to get that top 3 pick so they can go after Peterson or Deviza or Boozer. They want one of these guys because they think, oh, they're going to change our team. They're going to change our roster for the better. I agree with you. But Karl-Anthony Towns, I disagree with you. He's a liability. He's always a liability on the defensive side of the boards.
Yeah. So yeah, you said a lot. I agree with the Cavs playoff take. I'm not concerned about no Eastern Conference team in the playoffs, especially the Pistons. And to all my Pistons people who watch me, people joking said that this is the Pistons fan TV because they call up in here in heavy mass. You guys are going to get cooked in the playoff. And I can't wait to see it happen, and I'm not just saying it because they lost to the Spurs. Oh, look, I don't need to do that. History teaches me, right? You got to respect the basketball gods in history, right? If you're trying to do something that's never been done before in history, you're going to fail most of the, like 99.9%, you're going to fail. So with the Pistons and even the Spurs, to add them to this conversation as well, right? Only 2 teams in NBA history has won the championship without winning a playoff series with their core. And you're going to tell me these 2 young pups, they're going to get it done? No, it doesn't work like that. You got to go through your lumps and your bruises. Now, will they be back next year with a vengeance? Okay. But this year it's not going to happen. So I'm going with history against the Pistons. As far as the Cavaliers, they haven't won a series. They haven't got out of the second round since LeBron, and LeBron's not there. So in order for me to believe it, I got to see it. It's the same energy. Y'all have to get out of the second round. And if y'all fall in that top 2, 3 with us, y'all going to have to see us, and it's not going to happen. I think in the postseason, I'm still giving the edge to the Knicks because while I'm surprised they do a great job at forcing turnovers, I don't really think that their defense could really mess with our offense. And I believe in our defense. And to bring it back to Cat, listen, I'm not saying Cat is the best defender, but he makes a lot of good defensive plays. Now, yes, does he have lapses where guys get by him? And of course, every center has that, right? But I will say this, he's a way better defender than Jokic. And nobody talks about Jokic's defense ever. Jokic has to be one of the worst defensive centers I ever seen in my life. 100%. And I make sure I utter it every time we talk about Towns defense. I got to make sure we give everybody, all the great offensive centers that are not good defensive centers, they also got to get the same highlight. But I think that Towns is better than Jokic. Jokic might get a steal or two here or there when he wants to give effort, but steals and blocks are part of defense. It's not defense, because if you're going to look at steals and say, oh, look, he plays defense, well, then I can look at Brunson and say, well, look, he draws charges. And people don't want to give Brunson credit for that. You know, they say Brunson doesn't play any defense. I disagree with that also. But once again, I'm not saying they're world beaters, but when you look at the numbers, we're number 5 defense in the last 10 games. And overall, we're number 11 defense on the year. That's with Towns playing the majority of the games. Mitchell Robinson has missed at least 16 games, if that. So the defense has upheld their end, and I think that is going to continue. Now, it's not Towns by himself. I think that it's the group. The group together are doing a better job at communicating, forcing guys to the baseline, right? Some of the things that we heard that was stated by, the coaches and interviews and Mike Brown giving credit and things of that nature. I think there's a lot of tweaks and adjustments, not Towns, not just related to Towns, so to speak. But I also think another thing too, in the last 15 games, ever since he decided to go with a defensive core, I really do believe that. And when I say the defensive core, I'm talking about Deuce McBride. He took Clarkson out, went with Deuce, he went with Shamet and Mitch. I think that just automatically enhances your defense, because now you got a whole bunch of dudes. All they do is play defense, and I think that really helps. But really quickly, we got to continue to get the likes up. Hold on, really quick. I'm gonna get right back to you. We got to get the likes up, y'all. Please. All right. It's in prep. Maxine's like, yo, she's like, what are we doing? All right. Listen, we got 20 more from 200. We got to get the 200 likes. It's important. And then I'm going to let Earl cook, because I know he has a lot that he wants to say. So if you want to hear Earl's response, we have to continue getting these likes up. It's unacceptable. It helps us in the algorithm. And while you at it, we know that well over 60% of our audience that watches in the last 28 days, you guys are not subscribed. So while you're liking the video, make sure you subscribe to the video. And I'm going to let my man Earl, I'm going to let him cook. Go ahead, Earl.
Now, I watch Detroit a lot because I like how the Pistons play. And what really bothers me is Jalen Duren. He's one of the best players right now, one of the best centers in the league right now. He was drafted by the Knicks. The Knicks actually drafted Jalen Duren. And then they traded him to Detroit and got really nothing back for him. Look at the type of player he is right now in the NBA, averaging 18 points, 10 rebounds a game. This guy has been as good of a center or 4 in the NBA we've seen over the last 2 seasons. This guy has been a big part of their defense too. Great board guy. Whenever he plays the Knicks, he beats the hell out of the Knicks. Really performs very high at a high level. And when I look at him, I'm like, this guy could have been a Knick. And I got to say, the one thing Leon Rose made a mistake is when they drafted him, they just traded him away to Detroit and made it look like he was just a washed player. And remember, he wasn't a high draft pick. The Knicks, obviously drafted him and then moved him. So when I watch this guy, I think he's really an unbelievable player. Could you imagine him on this Knicks team right now? I mean, they have Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Duren and Karl-Anthony Towns, the bigs that they would have on this roster. You're talking about, to me, automatic championship team. And that was the problem with the Knicks. They just, like you said, and like what Barkley said, and like Shaq says, they need dogs. They need guys that are going to go out there and do whatever, give up their bodies, put their bodies out there and play hard night in and night out. The problem with OG, and I like the caller, I love that he loves OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby, when he plays at a high level, OG Anunoby is as good as anybody in the league. And yes, he's probably one of the top 5 defensive players, perimeter defensive players in all of basketball. And if that's what you want to sell us. But how about this? When the going gets tough, does OG play enough and play hard enough to beat those elite teams? They need OG to play at a high level, game in and game out, if they expect to win. I don't know if he's a number 2 guy. He could be a number 3 guy. I agree with the other call. Mikal Bridges has got to be the other guy. But that's the problem with the Knicks. There's one ball, and there's so many players that can touch that ball. So they got to share the ball. And I understand Karl-Anthony Towns has got to be the go-to guy in some points of this game. And when the Knicks get Karl-Anthony Towns more involved, they win those games. But the Knicks got to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And they got to do it quick, because the playoffs are coming up quick. And one game, one loss, or two bad losses in a series could cost the Knicks a series and maybe a championship. So they cannot go against Detroit, and Detroit has their number, but we've seen this before. There are teams that have been, the Knicks have been 0-3, or other teams have been 0-3 in the regular season, and then they go at them. Look, how many times have we seen Miami go 0-3 with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh? Yep. They were 0-3 against teams, and then they go into a series and win 4-1 or 4-0. So it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. It's what you do in the big game and in the playoffs. That's why I agree with you, Karan. Until Detroit proves that they can do what they do in the regular season against the Knicks, I agree with you. The Knicks should absolutely run through them in the playoffs. I don't know about run through them, but they should beat Detroit in a 7-game series, 100%, until Detroit proves that they can beat the Knicks in a big game, which they haven't. And they're still fairly a young team. So I still think that I would give the Knicks the advantage against Detroit. I think the Knicks have the advantage against Cleveland, as the Knicks have beaten them in the playoffs. And I think the Knicks have an advantage against the Celtics because they don't have Jason Tatum. And even if Jason Tatum does come back in the playoffs, even if he does, which they said that there's a possibility that Jason Tatum could be back in the playoffs, maybe not in the first round, but in second and maybe the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm still not worried about the Celtics because Jason Tatum is not going to be at 100%. He's not even going to be at 80%. He'll be playing at 75, 78%. So I'm going to take the Knicks in a 7-game series against the Celtics. So to me, you're absolutely correct. And all the callers, this is the year. If the Knicks want to win a championship, they got to make a run this year because then you're going to have to deal with Halliburton next year and Cam Boozer maybe, or Peterson or DeBiza. If somehow the Indiana Pacers get in that top 3, then you're really choking because then you got to deal with that garbage next year.
That's going to really suck, man. But Errol, let the people know about your show. With Jabba, let the people know, for the people that just joined that wasn't here early, where they could catch you and your show.
Yes, we're all over Spotify. We're all over Apple Podcasts. We are ranked 68th right now in Apple Podcasts and Spotify in the whole country under football shows. We talk all sports, but we have to pick a genre. In football, there's more podcasts in football, so we chose that to compete against the best. But we talk all sports. So Jabba in the Mouth on Spotify and Apple. Subscribe to us. We're also on YouTube, Jabba in the Mouth. We might be changing the name soon. That's something that we'll talk about. That's something that we're working on right now, but it's Jabba in the Mouth on YouTube. Also we have another YouTube channel being created right now, Jabba in the Mouth, Jabba in the Mouth, New York sports. So it's going to be all New York sports with Jabba in the Mouth. So, but for all the fans out there, and me and Karan are talking, we might be doing something in the future. I love working with Karan. Karan's a knowledgeable dude when it comes to the Knicks and boxing, which is something that maybe you guys don't know. Me and Karan have had conversations in the boxing. By the way, Garcia winning this weekend. Holy crap. What a surprise. What a surprise.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
He's finally a champion.
Yes. WBC champion. So, but I love watching boxing, and I think boxing is great. Mixed martial arts is great, but Karan is one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to the Knicks, and just happy to be here, happy to work with him, and hopefully for the future, maybe doing something big with him in the long run. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Big time salute. Big time. Thank you, Errol. We appreciate you. And guys, thank you for rocking with us. And until next time, as always, let's go Knicks.